Joining me right now, multi-millionaire investor and Trump supporter, Foster Friess. Foster, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
I'm delighted to be here in Jackson Hole to share some time with you, Maria. Good morning to you.
Well, you're the lucky one. We see that background of Jackson Hole, and it looks pretty gorgeous right now. But, Foster, let me get your take from a business standpoint. You're a business guy. You know what moves the needle on economic growth. Who had the right story last night?
Well, I think it's quite disgusting to hear Senator Kaine say just because you don't pay taxes, you're not supporting troops or teachers. That's just the classic left-wing demagoguery. There's thousands, millions of people that don't pay taxes, and many of them are teachers and military guys who are going through tough financial times. So the implication is that because the law says you can take a loss 18 years forward, that doesn't mean he took it 18 years forward. He could have made enough money in the next 3-4 years to use up his tax loss. But I believe the left's ability to distort things, like the other distortion was he doesn't like Curiel because his parents are Mexican. Well, no one pointed out the fact that Curiel is a member of La Raza San Diego Association. Why isn't he just a member of the San Diego Lawyers Association? La Raza, as you know, at one time wanted to reunite the entire Southwest with Mexico, and why he wants to identify with that group. And also, people don't realize that Curiel, an Obama appointee, gave a law firm the right to prosecute the case with Trump, and that law firm gave $267,000 of speaking fees to Bill and Hillary Clinton. And Alberto Gonzales, a Hispanic, and he's the Attorney General of the United States, said Trump is very justified in being concerned about a conflict of interest. But the left will...
It's Dagan McDowell. As a Trump supporter and so close to the election, why in creation would you bring up Judge Curiel and a problem created by Trump for himself when it's been put to bed?
Well, because it's an example of the distortion that occurred last night, Dagan. If you look at the whole idea of he hates Mexicans. Okay, do we want to leave that lane? Trump said a lot of these people are good people coming across. The reason I want to bring it up, you can go point by point by point where they are just telling outright lies of what he said.
Yeah.
He doesn't hate Mexicans. He has 1,100 people working for Hispanics in Florida alone.
Yeah.
So I just think if you look at all these distortions, the American people needs to hear that they are distortions.
Well, I agree with the distortions. I do think that the strategy on the left is just to say something, even if it's exactly what your problem is, like now they're calling pay for play. I mean, when we know that's from the Clinton Foundation, but whatever it is, and then just all get in line and then distort things. I mean, that happens over and over again. But I think the point Dagan is making is that Trump should not constantly be on defense. Right? He finds himself defending all this stuff rather than talking about his economic plans, which, by the way, it sounds like it could really move the needle on the economy by lowering taxes and rolling back regs.
I think you're probably right, but the fact that Trump fights back is why he's gotten as far as he can. No Republican before has fought back, and so I love to see that. Why aren't people bringing up the fact that Hillary Clinton, can you imagine that? She gets subpoenaed for providing emails and then destroys them. What American would not go to jail for that? And if you look at the non-indictment, there's a guy, Brian Mishaburi, did the exact thing she did, except on an infinitesimally smaller scale. And what happens to him? He gets fined $7,500. He's on probation for 2 years. His clearance is revoked, and he can't apply for another one. You know, there was a left-wing reporter that just tore into Donald Trump. He just named every single thing that Donald Trump said that was obnoxious. And then he said, Howard, I'm voting for him because we have to have the return of law, because if the Clintons get in, there's no idea what will happen if we don't have the return of law. And I applaud Donald Trump for the fact that he fights back. Now, sometimes the strength of fighting back, every strength has a negative, and sometimes his fighting back comes across as clumsy.
Right.
And the messaging. I spent a whole half day with Donald Trump Jr. yesterday talking about messaging, and I don't think the Republicans should talk about, Donald Trump should talk about reducing the corporate income tax to 15%, which is the point you're making about generating some steam in the economy. What we ought to be saying is, let's take the third highest corporate rate in America, 38 to 39%, and bring it in line with with the rest of the world. China, 20%. Russia, 25%. The Eurozone, 24.5%. If you express it that way, bringing it in line with the rest of the world sells to the American people a lot better than allowing the left to say, oh, he just wants to reduce taxes for the rich people.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points.
Foster, do you not think that Donald Trump, who is the candidate for president from the Republican Party, should release his taxes, as every president has done for decades?
Well, I don't think any president should have to reduce his taxes. That's private information, and if he's violated the law, that'll come up, and it'll come up in an audit, and if the IRS has cleared it, that shouldn't be anybody's business. I would like for nobody to have to reveal that, because there are a lot of people that don't run because they maybe gave to some cause that they don't want to have revealed. But if you look at the major theme that all of us have, we have to get beyond what she did and what he said. Let's let all this thing about Benghazi and all this stuff, and we get the American people just concentrate. How will your life, Maria, sit down and draw a piece of paper and have each one of your listeners, how will your life be different under Donald Trump policies versus Hillary Clinton? You look at school choice. She opposes it. He's for it. You look at worker permits. He's for it. She's against it. You look at the whole idea. They have a plan to defeat ISIS. They've been in power for 8 years. How do we have ISIS where it is today if they have all these good ideas to defeat it? So you look at the threat of global jihadism. You look at school choice. You look at the immigration policies. And if Donald Trump can bring a reignited economy and bring a defeat to the ISIS and go all these things that we all want, what difference does it make if he said a nasty comment about John McCain?
Right. Then there's the lawlessness that really bothers a lot of people. I mean, does it not bother you, Judy, that it feels like the FBI has been politicized, that the State Department is politicized, that, you know, the Clinton Foundation people were able to destroy their computers in exchange for immunity? I mean, does any of this bother you?
Of course it bothers me. The double standard bothers me. But whenever you dig really deep, so far we've not been able to find a single example of a decision that Hillary Clinton made as Secretary of State that was affected by those very unfortunate donations.
What about selling 25% of the country's uranium?
She was not involved in that decision in a dispositive way. She simply wasn't.
She was Secretary of State.
But that was not her decision. That was a group that was meeting.
She's the boss.
She did not have, there is no indication that she made any decision because of a contribution to the foundation.
Judy,
and the foundation,
she's the Secretary of State.
The foundation, that doesn't mean that she absolutely determines policy. She was overruled again and again.
The Secretary of State?
The President of the United States, and she was implementing that policy with which she disagreed in many respects, often, but privately. She was a good soldier. You can talk to her about that. But she is tougher than the man she would be replacing.
Foster, good to see you. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Real quick, Foster.
Okay.
Real quick.
Well, I just want to inject that I was on CNN and I said that about the Charles Krauthammer said that she sold approved the 20% of the uranium leases to some guy who donated to the Clinton Foundation, and the response was that hasn't been vetted yet. Why aren't everybody vetting? Did she benefit from the donation to the Clinton Foundation and in return approve the sale of uranium? Let's find out what the truth is.
We got to jump. Foster, thank you.
Okay,
good to see you, sir.